Next slide, please. So then the solutions agenda, what has been dealt with. We have, as mentioned before, at the dimension of direct, explicit policies, area-based programs to tackle the problem of shrinking cities. That is more or less the problem of Eastern Germany. So our Mezzogiorno is not in the south, it's in the east. But we have to be aware that this is or was not at the end an explicit strategy for addressing social segregation in general. At the end, it was a result of a package deal. Again, you have to think about the German federalism. The East German state were in need for special funding schemes for solving the problems of shrinking cities. Therefore, they asked for special funding for a program from the federal level. But for getting such a program, it was the consent of the Western federal states were needed. So it was not really, the original aim was to deal with social segregation. It was just to attract additional funding from the federal pot also to the West. So this, you are right, Ernesto. It fits to the box, but it was not really an explicit urban policy. It was an urban policy for some parts of the country, but it has to be extended, and then it was just a policy to attract additional funding from the federal level. Then we have indirect, implicit, it's the labor market policy, a fundamental reform of labor market policy oriented to a workfare reform, where the funding of social assistance or benefits for unemployed, long-term unemployed was changed, and this affected the local level. And then we have, at the dimension of indirect, explicit, an example which is, in my view, just a symbolic national policy, because some metropolitan regions got the label of a European metropolitan region. So the conference of the ministers of the federal states responsible for regional development, together with the minister responsible for this topic at the federal level, met twice a year, and some regions can apply for getting this nice title, which is nothing. You cannot get any funding. It has an important it has an importance for the internal processes, for defining a certain area or giving a certain region an identity. The region of Rhine-Neckar, for example, we are now a European metropolitan region, which can induce endogenous processes of identity building. So that's the solution agenda. And please, the next one. The problems agenda. What is on the problems agenda is not so much that the need is highlighted that certain policies are really needed at the national level. What is on the problems agenda is fiscal equalization and the financial situation of local government. And this is an issue since ever. So in Germany, the local level is putting on the agenda the need to get a better financial basis. And this is oriented to general grants and to a broader tax base. And it's not oriented to particular policies by which cities can earn additional funding. And this is again related to what I said at the beginning. Local politicians, local bureaucrats do not want to get grants, specific grants for certain purposes. They like to get general grants to finance local choices. And this is also in line with the understanding of local self-government. And these equalization schemes, it's also important. We have equalization schemes between the federal states, so horizontally between the rich states in the southwest and the east, and then within each of the federal states we have, they differ, equalization schemes between the municipalities. And I think this is also, I will relate this to an issue mentioned by Alan Harding. I think which is clear now in Germany, we have only very limited direct explicit policies. It's more in the right corner, is a box right down, so the implicit indirect. And this is quite, and this is more or less also a strategy, maybe an implicit strategy to give the local level opportunities to take their own local choices. This can be quite nicely related to strategies for having competitiveness and maybe also economic, social cohesion. But as Alan Harding mentioned, this can imply that those who have better chances to develop own choices and to realize them, getting better and better, and the others fail. And in this respect, the emphasis given on the problems agenda to equalization schemes is very important, because this secures that there is a bottom line which is secured in any case and which limits the competition between the cities because a certain amount of funding is available to make urban choices. The next point is also important. The cities are, or the local government are claiming for, yes, maybe that's not really an English expression, connectivity, conditionality. So I will explain it. The phrase behind it, those who are ordering services should pay for it. So if the local level is developing certain policies, or the federal states are developing certain policies which have to be implemented by local government, then the money also for administering it, implementing it, should be given to the local government. And in some federal states, this is already now fixed in the constitution. So every of the 16 federal states in Germany have an own constitution, and by constitutional law, in some of them it's fixed if there are decisions at upper level of government which will bring financial burdens for the local level, then not only the direct costs for a nice policy have to be handed over, but also the cost for administering these policies. So then there are some, maybe from your perspective, strange issues dealt with on the problems agenda, new public management reform, and the introduction of directly elected mayors. Both, and this is very interesting, are not ideas developed at the national level or at the level of the federal states. Both issues were brought on the national problems agenda by representatives of the local level. Again, back to the self-perception of local politicians, local bureaucrats. they are running the working state. They are running the system. And therefore, they need effective and efficient structures.